Right, we're at Whitewall, probably one of the best local one sky surfers we've got. And today we're going to talk about doing just local flights. Generally a lot of people do soaring, but the beginners and low air timers, to break into cross country, just need to leave the hill. And for me, this is one of the best places to do it. You can get yourself familiarized with the site, get yourself a thermal. You only need one, get decent height, look downwind and head downwind. Right now you can see how that is, lovely thermal, all the birds are going up in it, so there's just no reason not to do it. So yeah, get to a site that you know, get some height, look downwind, leave the thermal, go downwind. If we manage to find a second thermal, then brilliant, we can extend our flight a little bit more. And then just constantly practice the skills that are required for landing safely when you land out. So you're looking at the size of the field, the slope on the field, any big trees that are large, or buildings from upwind, because you want to try and land in as clean air as possible. So doing local ones are ideal, because you can get up and go, land quite soon, and you've only got a short walk to get back. Low airtime pilots, don't be afraid of going cross country. It is very, very simple. I probably have to put a caveat in. If you're CP, then you're supposed to discuss your cross-country plans with a coach or something to allow it. Otherwise you'd be pilot rated. Obviously there are laws and rules, i.e. laws of the air, and airspaces. Now at Whitewall, we do have airspace downwind to contend with. So there's literally, the moment we go over the back of the hill, 3,000 feet, and we're under Southampton airspace, so you've got to keep an eye on that. So again, this is why it's an ideal place to get up, go downwind, and just have a nice local cross country and get used to it. I've done 5 or 6 small cross countries from here, landed in the same spot at least 3 times, which is a farmer's airstrip. Right, I'm going to get myself strapped in, I'm going to get launched, and let's see if I can find a thermal and go cross country. I'll see you guys in the air. So today's conditions dictated that I actually launched from the north end of the site. From launch I always do a bit of a scud from one end to the other, test the air, see which parts are actually working quite well. There's always a spot in the middle by the tree at the bottom that produces a little bit of lift, but nothing today. So back to the other end where I expected there would be a thermal, and bang straight into one. Now because of the height, Avery doesn't actually show you the height of those trees, so at that point it's S-turns to get some height before you can actually start doing 360s. This thermal was a little bit too low, so I wanted to go back, as you can see, straight through low sink, so there had to be something happening. I wanted to find another thermal, so I had a little bit more height above the hill before I decided to fly away. Because of the height, I was able to get into full 360s earlier. It was quite punchy, but it was broken and the edges were rough, so it was difficult to try and actually centre in this. Once I felt I was getting to the top of this thermal, as it was breaking up and stopped faffing around and trying to keep in that lift, I felt that I was high enough to start going downwind, start heading towards my normal place for short cross countries from this site, play around with any lift that I might find on the way, but generally I'll end up heading towards me on Stoke. So once I got my heading towards The fields I was contemplating landing in just passed me on Stoke, the other side of the A32. Managed to hit some sink, so it was very much a which ones can I fall into without issue. Now I start to look at this field down below, right next to the road. I've landed there before. Sadly, there are cows in it, so that was a no-go. So then I started going towards the farmer's airstrip, another place that I've landed several times. But then I found that I had a bit of space and I wanted to play with what lift there was around just over the small village. Now not being too worried about where I'm landing, but thinking about landing somewhere else. End up flying over a vineyard. Quick turn to see people having a nice little picnic underneath the tree in the middle. And then I remember Beacon Hill. It's a place I've driven past before. I always wondered if it'd work. Just as I got hammered by some sink. But you only ever get hammered by sink because it's right next to some lift. So I turned back in without going into the bowl and all the trees. And managed to find plenty of lift. Sadly, Southampton airspace is too restrictive at this point, so it was a case of I was happy with this flight. Come down into a nice clear field, no obstacles, no cattle, and land almost directly on the South Downs Way. Well, there you have it. Short, sharp cross country, keeping it local. It's probably one of the best ways for the low air timers, for the newbies, to just break away from the hill. Have an idea, get that first thermal, get up high, head downwind, keep in mind your airspace, and if you find a second thermal, brilliant. If not, just practice picking out your right fields. Make sure you do decent, safe approaches, nice fields and no obstacles. You don't have to go miles to go cross country. You just need to leave the hill. Till next time, guys, I'll see you in the air.